Hello, peoples and persons of all ages. It is I, Kazrium, and I have to apologize for the radio silence over the past year. Yeah, I was gonna make some more videos, but I just got busy with something called crippling anxiety. Anywho, the Owl House has been off the air for over a year at this point, and I have just been so fine. But amidst the indefinite wait for a new challenger to enter the ring of above and beyond animated programming, some of the old heavyweight champs decided to jump back in and hit us with a swift jab of nostalgia. Disney TVA just sprung another massive leak, and we got not a puddle, but a day at the lake full of that sweet, sweet art we've been thirsting for. Amphibia, DuckTales, Gravity Falls, The Owl House, and many more all received leaks of their pitch Bibles, show Bibles, and even some animated pilots. And today, I'm gonna go over what we learned, what changed from their original conception, why I think all these leaks happened all of a sudden, and what, if anything, this means for the properties that were a part of these leaks. So, sit back, relax, as I go to bat on analyzing these materials and give you the facts. To start, I'd like to talk about the earliest project that was a part of these leaks, and my personal favorite show from the bunch, Gravity Falls. The show premiered in 2012 and concluded in 2016, and since then, fans have been clamoring to get their six-fingered hands on any lost content from the series. And to date, just about every piece of lost Gravity Falls content has been discovered and available online for years now, including the original animated pilot of the show. However, there has always been one piece of content that the fans could never seem to find: the next time on Gravity Falls portion of the pilot. Bits and pieces of the animated segment have been around for years, but never all together and never of this quality. This, in conjunction with the previous leaks of the pitch and show Bible, gave us more details than ever before, including actual animation of the original concept of Wendy, who used to look like this and was fairly different in personality, including the fact that instead of pranks, she was really into vegan juices that the kids were too scared to drink, which in retrospect was probably a good call. I also love how the cut finishing each other's sandwiches joke from Frozen originated here and would be used just a year or two later in that movie. Alright, Alex, we're taking your joke. You give us that line or we walk. Alas, with the leak of this next time on, this very well may be the last of the lost content of Gravity Falls left. Like I said, most lost content was already identified and leaked, but this was the last of the known footage that existed that still had that signature question mark over it. Now, with that solved, I'm afraid there may be nothing left to find. Regardless, it's honestly incredible that even after all these years, Gravity Falls still had one more gift left to give, and if nothing else, it was nice to be able to say see you later to these characters and this world for one last time. Hopping along, Amphibia was another to see its secrets revealed and featured a show Bible, animatic pilot, and even an extended version of the animated pitch that had previously been leaked. The pitch Bible has existed in some variations over the years. Notably, the creator Matt Braley did a seminar that featured early Amphibiland, as it was called back then, concepts that featured wildly different characters and designs than the final show. But as far as this new Bible and pilot goes, there's actually not much to go on, since much of the content from them are the same as it ended up in the actual show, with some slight differences here and there. No, they weren't old enough to the point where Sprig's name was a choice, but in the pilot, his design was quite different and more fitting of his original voice actor, Thorup Van Orman, aka the voice of Little Gideon from Gravity Falls, and Flapjack from The Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack. Something completely unexpected for me was the fact that we got an extended version of the animated pitch that revealed some interesting changes. For example, Anne would have received a magical dagger from Hop Pop instead of the sword she got from Trey Tony.
Did I say that right?
Absolutely not.
And probably most interesting of all, Sasha, who had a temporary voice actress in this pitch, ended up being willfully possessed by some sort of being. My guess is that this was an early iteration of what would eventually become the core. But I do like that the core possession was changed to an unwilling Marcy, considering it was a lot more unnerving seeing her in particular act like a homicidal maniac. No offense. Also, I I just realized something. I wonder if the redemption that Andreas ended up getting was originally intended for the possessed Sasha, because, I mean, she could have realized that her hunger for power wasn't worth the damage she was doing to Amphibiland and her friends, but hey, that's just a hypothesis. An unnecessary hypothesis. And we can't talk about all these leaks without talking about the Owl House. Wow. Hoot! This series hands down had the most changes from its original conception. In general, the main characters are the exact same, minus a few key elements, including the fact that Luz's favorite book series was called The Unassuming Princess, and Azura was a princess instead of a witch. King had a completely different color scheme, and Amity was a secret exchange student that Luz accidentally befriends and becomes close friends with. Just the kind of good pal you'd like to dress up and travel with, you know? The major changes are with literally everyone else in the series. That one character we saw in concept art with Luz turns out to have evolved into this character, William, who was, well, Bellows if he was a comedic relief, not quite hero, not quite villain, but Dana must have gotten exhausted rooting for the anti-hero because he was eventually replaced. We've actually already seen him from the previously leaked animated Next Time On, and apparently, after he was awoken, he'd be convinced that Luz was a witch and constantly tries to burn her, while completely oblivious to the fact that he is in a demonic world surrounded by demons and witches, because magic is powerful, but nothing against his racism towards Afro-Latinas. Thankfully, he evolved into Hunter, because honestly, this take on the character would have been the least believable part of the show. And I must remind you, this is a magic show with demons and witches in a hellscape. Actually, never mind. No racism or homophobia in a theocratic empire run by a British dude from the 1600s. Yeah, he would have been the second most unbelievable part of the show. Speaking of Bellows, this was him. He wasn't an emperor, but rather a counselor named Orbron. But something must have gone orb wrong, because instead of the Titan, he was speaking for this. Yup, that is a pupa. That is what that is. I guess Orbron would have been keeping the Emperor in a pupa state so he could continue to essentially rule the Boiling Isles. The character motivation is the same. He created the Coven system to control magic, but the difference is he actually did plan on resurrecting the Titan and taking over the human realm. I'm glad that they made the change to get rid of the pupa thing altogether. It's just so much more focused on the religious allegory when Bellows is taking power by speaking for the dead instead of a hostage physical being. It just fits better with the themes of the show, you know? Bump was completely different and served under Orbron, so he would have been a parasitic villain. Lilith would have been the principal of Hexide instead of him, and there was even a band of mutated humans called Sashley, Pasha, and Bruno, who we don't talk about. There were also tons of changes in the world, including the fact that Ida didn't suffer from an owl beast curse, though she could shift shape into an owl creature at will, but she did have an aging curse that could be cured by consuming the soul of a human. Multiple portal keys existed and traveled to several different dimensions, not just the human and demon realms. Glyphs were originally pentagrams that consumed ingredients in order to perform spells, and humans were illegal in the demon realm. What I found most interesting, though, was how close some of these proposed episodes ended up being to the final cut, yet were completely different in how they were executed. My favorite of the bunch being in an episode where Luz must go into hiding because Bump is performing inspections for illegal activity at Ida's shop, which was originally located in the Owl House. While in hiding, Luz encounters a mirror ghost who offers her magic powers in exchange for helping her get free. But it turns out they lied, and Luz gets trapped in the mirror herself. She then must jump from mirror to mirror to get her body back while hiding the possessed Luz from Bump. Sounds like a bit of a mashup between Gravity Falls sock opera and Yesterday's Lie. Every episode example has a similar yet different approach to them, which was pretty cool to see the seeds of what grew into some of our beloved episodes. Yeah, overall, I can see why they were changed, and they're definitely better fleshed out in the final version of the show, but I just think they're neat. Now, this has all been cool and everything, but what the butt, Disney? Where are all these leaks coming from, and more importantly, who is responsible for this? Gee whiz, I better get to the bottom of this so I can definitely not get more information and leaked materials. Oh no, that'd just be the worst. I think I've narrowed it down to the most likely suspect. I present to you, incompetency. Yeah, it's not unheard of for disgruntled employees to intentionally mishandle company data and pass it off to a cousin who just so happens to be a fan, who just so happens to share it with some friends, who just so happens to share it with everyone. But I'd more likely assume that this was an oopsie-doopsie more than anything. Maybe the wrong materials or permissions were attached to the wrong file share, which is totally plausible, and it wouldn't be the first time a Disney employee made that mistake. Remember when the second Owl House Season 3 special leaked weeks ahead of time? Yeah, that was because a Canadian Disney employee accidentally entered the wrong release date into iTunes. These things happen. While it'd be much more interesting if there was a major hack of Disney or someone higher up the chain like a showrunner was sticking it to the mouse, these leaks are most likely the product of employees of Disney and or partnered companies accidentally mishandling the materials. So I don't think that the timing or content of the materials is particularly telling of anything coming down the line, but hey, I'd love to be wrong. So yeah, this was a massive leak, and there was so much content of both released and unreleased Disney TVA shows, but I could be here all day if I covered it all, so I figured I'd just hit up 3 of my favorite shows for the purposes of this video. But if you're a fan of DuckTales, 101 Dalmatian Street, The Ghost of Molly McGee, and a variety of unreleased Disney series, be sure to check these pitches out. There's some legitimately cool stuff here, and it's good to check out if you yourself want to make a show someday, because these materials are exactly how you'd get it done. Study some of your favorites and make your own pitch Bible. Seriously, if you have an idea, then this is the best way to start making your dreams come true, so there's your homework. Trust me though, you'll thank me later. You know, watching at long last the full version of this Amphibia animated pitch was so bizarrely nostalgic to me. Is that weird? To feel nostalgic for something you never saw before? I guess in a way, it makes sense. In life, you have to move forward, and though you may treasure people, places, and memories of the past, you always will be pointed to the future. But every once in a while, whether by fate, destiny, disgruntled employees of a mega corporation, a whisper of the past can come back into your life and put you right back to where you were all those years ago. So, I don't know or frankly care where these leaks came from, or if it's weird that I still feel this way after all this time, because today, I saw this moment, wrote the script, and now you're all choosing to hear what I have to say, and that in itself is a gift. So, for all the things in life that change, you'd be surprised on what makes its way back to you. Anyway, please subscribe to the channel. Like I said, I'm coming back to making content again, and coming up next, I have a video of Amphibia that I think you'll really like, and I hope that you'll give it a chance. In addition to that, I'm of course going to be making videos about the Owl House and other animated shows and movies, so I hope you'll give those a chance as well. I've been Danny K, and remember to do something nice for yourself today. I'll see you all on the Hex side.